One of the very first life lessons we learn is don't be selfish. We go through a phase early in life where everything is mine. We bitterly resent anyone messing with our stuff because it's mine. Parents rush in to mediate. Be nice, share. Why don't you just take turns? The message is clear, but is it the right message? Somehow we've come to associate self-interest with selfishness, and that, to paraphrase Martha Stewart, is not a good thing. Keep watching and I'll share how a little bit of selfishness might be a good thing. Hello, I'm Phil Dean, and this is About Time. There's a wide gap between being a doormat, the one that everyone walks on and takes advantage of, and being a full-blown, raging narcissist whose only thought is of me. Neither in the extreme is desirable. A healthy amount of self-interest is beneficial. In the late 1700s, the famous economist Adam Smith said, "Individual ambition serves the common good." For most of human history, the emphasis was on the common good. It was a matter of survival. We had to rely on one another to stay alive. In some ways, we're all a little selfish. We're sort of secretly selfish. We don't want to show it because we want to fit in. We don't even like to admit it to ourselves. That's why some people who feel like they have no power become passively aggressive. They want the results without the consequences. For millennia, philosophers and theologians have been saying, know thyself. That requires honesty. It requires the recognition that we all have some degree of selfishness. The idea is to transform it into something more useful and beneficial by filtering it through the virtues that help build the character that can then be used to promote the common good. Selfishness is probably too strong a word. Maybe enlightened selfishness is better, but what I think I'm going for here is something more like enlightened self-interest. I remember a friend telling me about doing business with a local church-affiliated hospital in our community. He said the Roman Catholic nun who ran the hospital wanted to do good, but she also wanted to do well. Somehow, we need to get beyond the idea that doing well is somehow bad or even evil. The sister understood that you can do the most amount of good when you've developed the capacity to do well. The common good doesn't mean redistribution of wealth so that everybody has an equal share. That's communism, and as far as I know, it hasn't worked. It just breeds resentment and corruption as those in power strive to maintain their power and position at all costs. Adam Smith had something to say about that too. He said, as soon as government management begins, it upsets the natural equilibrium of industrial relations, and each interference only requires further bureaucratic control until the end is the tyranny of the totalitarian state. Our political system is far from being perfect, but I don't think it's that bad yet. But we seem to have become more and more fragmented, and in the process we've lost touch with the common good as trust in our institutions and our leaders decline. The ideal seems to be in striking a balance between self-interest and the common good. That means knowing yourself well enough and having enough character and virtue to align your wants and needs with that of others, to do well and to do good. There was a popular movie a few years ago called City Slickers. Billy Crystal played a character who was trying to find his purpose in life by participating in a modern-day cattle drive. The foreman was a crusty old cowboy named Curly, played by Jack Palance. Crystal's character admits his life is a mess and he wants Curly's advice. Curly says, "You know what the purpose in life is?" He then holds up one finger and says, it's one thing, just one thing. You stick to that, and everything else don't mean shit. Crystal says, well, that's great, but what is it? What is the one thing? Curly's reply, that's what you gotta figure out. No one's perfect. We all have holes and flaws that need to be filled. Sadly, we often fill them with things that aren't helpful. Maybe we can start by accepting the fact that we are all at least a little bit selfish by nature and need to work on that for the common good. The best way to break a bad habit is to substitute it with a good one. Every time you see a vice pop up, substitute it with a virtue and see where that takes you. If you like this video, leave me a comment and subscribe to the channel. And remember, time is our greatest asset. Don't waste a second of it. For It's About Time, I'm Phil Dean. See you next time.